Great, excellent. So if you've just joined, like I said earlier, don't worry, you haven't missed anything just yet. Um, the thing is, what we're doing today, we're speaking about offshoring. It's offshoring unfiltered. We want to keep this as realistic as possible. And look, I'll start off with some intros. So my name is OJ. I sit within the advisory team here at the Scalers. I've been here for just under 3 years. I spend most of my time working very closely with CTOs and tech leaders, helping them unpack where they pretty much are getting stuck, whether it's infrastructure, leveraging data, or building out new products. And then the goal is to co create offshore solutions that actually solve some of the challenges that they're experiencing rather than just throwing more people at the problem. And today I've got Deepak with me. He's our COO. And to be totally honest, he's the one that's seen it all. So he spent over a decade on the ground building and scaling offshore teams from scratch, not just hiring, but putting the right structures, processes in place so they can actually last for a long time. And he's directly been involved in setting up and running over 140 offshore teams, from early stage startups to all the way through to like large enterprises dealing with scale and complexity. He's also worked very closely, similar to me, with CTOs and other tech leaders on how to actually engage these teams into their existing setup, which can be a big challenge sometimes. So he's not just building teams, but he's also making sure that they actually deliver and become a true extension of the business. So to kind of summarize here, a lot of what we're going to talk through today actually comes from real situations he's been in. So feel free to ask any questions as we go along. And if we don't get to them, we can pick them up at the end during our live Q&A. Deepak, is there anything you'd like to add before we jump in?
No, I mean, yeah, sure. Indeed, I'm Deepak, I'm the COO and co-founder of the Scalers. You won't see me if you're in the sales process because I usually take care of everything that happens once advisory are done onboarding a new partner. The things I manage revolve around delivery, process excellence, uh, cadence and making sure that there's adoption of trends and things such as AI adoption, making sure that we're using enough tokens and things like this. Uh, Basically, everything that happens post sales is part of my remit, and I've been here, as you mentioned, since day one. I'm born in Paris, and I moved to Bangalore when I was working at Amazon right after my graduation in 2014 or 13, and I've been here ever since. And yeah.
Nice. Thank you for the intro, Deepak. So first, let's start with some stories on the ground. Could you share like the biggest offshore horror story you've come across in the past 11 years?
Interesting question to begin. Sure. It's not easy to think of one horror story, but oh, actually, yeah, I have a pretty good one. Uh, 4 years ago, we were working with. I mean, we're still working right now, but we started work for London-based fintech, um, who were really, really struggling with their offshoring vendor based out of Pune. They had about 60 people with them, and the main issue, which was hampering delivery, which was hampering product quality, which was hampering a lot of business level KPIs, were basically the fact that the vendor in question wasn't able to retain uh, super high level talent. We're talking about leads, quants, BAs, people who really are integral to delivering high quality value, understanding the use of a feature, and things like this. Uh, we happened to go to meet them as part of our regular kind of business pitch, and they put across this issue for them. And they gave us one team to start off with, where they hadn't been able to hire a lead for the last 6 months. Um, Through a very customized approach and stuff like that, we were able to get three seniors and a lead onboarded under 90 days, between like 40 to 60 days for the seniors and about 70 days for the lead. They were so happy actually that they ended up moving all the 60 people and scaling that team beyond 200 staff members with us over the course of the last 4 years. And I found out a bit later that we were also 60% cheaper. So I don't know if it's a horror story for us or for them, but we're still working together and the team is still uh, high performing and with great, low attrition, great happiness, and stuff like that. So all in all, I look at it as a positive.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not always a negative to leave some money on the table, right? There's always a long term. There's always a long term partnership that can happen from those kind of scenarios. But hey, that's a great story, man. Thank you for that. So another question for you, Deepak, is we're talking about money, right? So I kind of want to transcend naturally into like costs. So everyone talks about costs, but where do you see the real savings come from when a company goes offshore?
At a high level, the moment that you start considering offshore because of the fact that you're going to a different location, there are inherent savings that come through. But if you ask me, the real savings come from efficiency. Lower salaries because of less developed economy is one thing, but the real bang for your buck comes from having people that are tenured, that are happy, that are proud to work for you, engaged to be part of your teams, basically. And actually, the longer you work with us, the more value you get. So I would say the real savings comes from integrating with the teams that you build in India to the max, making sure that they really feel like an extension of the team you have at home, not a separate team used for anything lesser than production level stuff.
Nice. No, that's a great answer. And then kind of speaking about like uh like the way you answered that question was great, but I think there's another question I've got for you here, and it's very similar to the conversations I've been having recently and some calls I've had with some CTOs where that they weren't sure if it was the right time for them to begin offshoring. So what would you say are the right like what would you say are the triggers that show a company should explore going offshore?
That's a great question. I think there's a lot of different triggers that you need to kind of consider. Uh, I think the best way to know that it's time to offshore is if everyone, including the decision makers, have no bandwidth, are really fully staffed, and cannot hire fast enough to move forward, basically. But delivery is not just about meeting your targets, right? So making sure that you have the work, making sure that there's value in your leads, training new people to hit the ground running as soon as possible, um, is probably like a good indicator. I always tell people if you or the seniors in your team struggle to go on holidays or take time off because of the increased pressure around products or whatever, uh, if you have like an overarching sense of being overworked and not really able to focus more on qualitative outcomes,
Mhm.
it's probably a great time to consider going offshore.
Mm,
There's like a
okay.
lot of different reasons, and I could, expand on this infinitely. But from my perspective, when we bring, a partnership about, we always make sure to identify and ensure that we address the top level concerns that you have so that working with your team is as seamless as possible. So we also really make sure that you're in the right spot when you start working with us to ensure like a smoothness with your teams in India.
Okay. And like another question that keeps coming up, right? Where I'm having lots of discovery calls with CTOs or COOs when they're looking at offshoring. A big concern for them is quality. Now, I know that you're very big on quality, and that's something that is like a big driver for you on your day to day with your processes, standardization, and how you kind of keep things really. you sit quite closely to the operations. But like, how do you, if you could kind of summarize it, Deepak, in Deepak's words, how would you actually protect quality offshore?
Quality is one of the most important things to me personally. In fact, one of the triggers for starting the skaters, from my perspective, was that I knew there's excellent talent here, and I also could see in non-English speaking markets that there was quite a difference of opinion when it came to the quality that's acceptable in terms of outcomes, or even the quality of people that you can hire here. And I was kind of surprised because in my career, having worked at Amazon before this, for example, I used to interact when I was based in Paris with really, really, really talented engineers who were Indian, right? So when I came here and we started the scalers, part of my goal was to make sure that people understand the value behind the talent, the passion behind uh, wanting to work in IT, right? And so when we started setting up the company, we created kind of two tracks to ensure that quality is always at the heart of everything we do. One is obviously like a very transparent talent acquisition process that our partners can kind of track in real time from our internal tools, where we do, a cultural fit, where we do technical alignments, live codings, and a technical interview as well, which are all recorded and can be accessed so that you can see it before you take a call on a candidate. You also get a chance to customize everything that we do in the interviews to ensure that we are on the same track when it comes to uh, the candidates that you choose. Yeah. But it goes beyond that. We also have internal quality checkpoints, such as business reviews that we do on a quarterly basis with the partners, from the highest level stakeholders that we might have to people that operate with our teams on the ground every day, to ensure that they hear feedback firsthand and they're also able to provide feedback. We do a number of regular alignments internally with all the engineers that work for us. So this can be like cultural alignment. This could be like uh, satisfaction survey. We also do a lot of engagement throughout the year. On average, we do about 2 events a month to engage with the engineers at a wide scale. So every time we do events, we capture data and build and use that feedback to kind of make sure that the next events we do are tailored better, are to the expectations of the people that we do these events for, right? So creating a sense of transparency in terms of how we qualify the people that we onboard, as well as putting you in front of the reality on the ground, whether it's talking about small friction points between your leads and your managers, or other things like maybe ideas for development, ideas for impacting the product. We make sure that you fit into our process and our process fits into your work model, and give you as many possible kind of levers to act to customize and make sure that you are constantly uh, making things dynamically relevant to the need of the
Mhm.
hour. Of
Nice,
course, we also
nice.
have nice offices and a number of perks and benefits, that attract quality talent, and yeah.
Which perk would you say is your favorite perk, Deepak?
Right now, we're going through a heat wave in Bangalore, and I have a meeting after this, but we have a pool on the rooftop of the office, and I may very well go for a dip before the end of the day.
Nice. That's always a good one. Great. So, look, I've got another question for you. Great answer, by the way. So, when I've spoken to people previously, they've always said to me, "Hey, OJ, I tried going offshore previously. It took me 8 months and it didn't work out well. I'm never offshoring again because of how long it took and like the quality wasn't great for them, right? And some people have had bad experiences. But in your opinion, how long should you realistically expect to build your first team at the Scalers?
That's an interesting question. It's a question that I think you and the people in your team ask us almost every week since 10 years, since 11 years, almost 12. Uh, it's all about context, right? Like, you could hire someone very quickly. You could also be looking at very, very specific skills that might take longer to hire.
Mm,
You could have, internal systems that require any developer that comes in to go through maybe a 2 weeks of bug fixing and documentation, like integration before they're allowed to start even looking at production level code. And some companies have even like a 2 months or 3 months probation where 1.5 months is only bug fixing and learning the kind of system in place before they get on a track to get integrated into Scrum teams. We also have worked with with CTOs who are working on a very critical project and want to onboard someone unrelated to the teams and hit the ground running from day one, right? So my answer is on a greenfield project, we can probably start onboarding people within 45 days on average for senior profiles. For super senior profiles in very specific niche skills, this can go up to maybe 60, maybe 90 days. In Bangalore, and in India, generally speaking, there's a tendency to make senior employees' notice periods very, very long as a means of protecting yourself when they decide to leave. So it's not uncommon to have to wait 2 or 3 months after we offer a candidate before they're able to join. But we have many ways to kind of mitigate these timelines. So depending on what you need and how soon you need it, we will customize our process and customize our approach to make sure that you get the best of what we're able to do. So sometimes we might start on DevOps or something and then start building a Scrum team over 40 days. And within 45 days, you might have 70% of your targets achieved, and then maybe 90 days, the senior people come and close out on everything. Because we are constantly in touch with you, it's fairly seamless, even though it might take up to 3 months to have like a fully functioning team. As soon as the first person joins, which is usually under 2 months, like around 40 days, 45 days, we really work from the ground up with your stakeholders to make sure that they can, already have a laptop working, they're already connected to your systems and so on. So we really focus on seamless integration of the candidate experience into the employee kind of life cycle. And we also push our stakeholders to be available to engage candidates to help us really customize the onboarding experience. We work with your HR department if it's relevant. If it's not, we will create the flows necessary to make sure that we can do the best deliverable possible for you.
mm. Nice, Deepak. What's just caught my eye just now is the "Great Place to Work" sign behind you, right? And I can see I think there's a couple over there.
We have
Yeah,
four as of December last year.
excellent. So I just kind of want to bring the conversation towards that. You mentioned obviously the quality is something really important, the timelines as well. But then you spoke about the pool, so I kind of want to go back to that. What would you say, like, kind of drives retention in offshore teams, given that you've got these incredible Great Place to Work awards 4 years back to back? Could you tell me, like, apart from the amazing swimming pool, right? I'm sure, like, the scalers do some incredible things, but like, could you kind of just shed some light on those, on how that works and what those things are?
Yeah, we understood pretty early on. In fact, from day one, we've been a company that's really all about people. And it's not just marketing that we put on our walls or on our website. We really aim to make sure that when we build a process, it's a people centric process. And we also try to come out of the traditional kind of uh, people mindset that permeates in our industry, where you have to toil, work hard, be in the office all the time, and so on. So what we do is make sure that we have a heavy focus on culture. Any manager at the scalers, whether they are uh, part of your team working for you as an engineer or part of my teams working for me on the delivery side, have like a cultural element to their onboarding, to their training, to their engagements, where we touch base with them. If they're new to the city, we have a number of people sharing flats that we try to put in together so that they can integrate into the lifestyle and the city better. It's quite a shock when you come from North India for the first time and arrive in Bangalore, because the weather is different, the language is different, the people look different. So integrating our culture and making sure that employees get uh, the best possible, foot forward in terms of quality of life at work is very, very important. We also, from a people and culture point of view, constantly look at opportunities to grow and ask our engineers as well as our non-technical people, what are they looking for in terms of growth, in terms of learning, and we customize our L&D strategy to make sure that we give the people what they want. Some people have asked us to do uh, more focus around being more healthy, improving your gut health, doing yoga, things like this. Other people have been more focused on uh, understanding how to integrate, how to prompt AI better into your tools. Others have been, talking about differences between different tech stacks and stuff like that. So we really do a lot to engage people. We allow different engineers to interact with each other and through different events. And basically, everything that we do is all about people and all around culture. Culture is a is a constant when we do anything related to targets or process at the scalers. And I think um, that's really the secret to retention. Like I have engineers and employees at the scalers that have been with me since for 9 years, and the company is 12 years old. You see, so this is a not super common, and b a testament to the fact that our systems are delivering.
Nice. Great answer, Deepak. No.
Thank
And
you.
when it and what does it actually look like, Dave? Because I know you're in the office pretty much every day, right? And you sit very closely with the delivery team, and you also sit very closely with the engineers of the partners. And what does it actually look like managing an offshore team day to day?
There's many ways to answer this, but let me ask you a question. How do
Go.
you manage a remote team member? Do you interact with them as if they're in Manchester or in Abu Dhabi, since you're in Dubai? Or do you have a difference in how you approach the call because they're in Bangalore? I think the answer lies there, right? Like, if you consider your team an extension of yourself, whether they are working remote or in the office, as long as they have, the right tools to uh, be on time and deliver on time, it shouldn't really matter like what it looks like. What it looks like is this basically. You have a bunch of people working out of a WeWork building in the center of Bangalore. The building is accessible 24/7 and access controlled. We have fallback internet to make sure that things don't break in the event that one line doesn't work. And we also provide like support if we need to connect to a VM or a firewall or anything like that. Some of our partners promote hybrid work models. Some of them,
Mhm.
for compliance reasons, uh, have us have people in the office 100%. We are used to working with people across many different domains, and we make it our business to align your culture and your policies to make sure that they work within the legal framework of the Indian labor law and within the culture that we're trying to set, right? So if you're not allowed to work anywhere outside of the office for compliance reasons, those are things that we can work around. But if you don't have any obligation to do that, we always push for a hybrid kind of model where people are in the office 4 days at least, and then
Mhm,
allow for 1, maybe 2 days
mhm.
remote.
Nice. And something that's come up actually yesterday. Had a conversation with someone at a e-commerce, was a CTO at a e-commerce company, and he mentioned to me that he hasn't got the processes in place to be able to go offshore. So he hasn't got enough resources internally, right? And what would you say, Deepak? 'Cause I mean, I gave a very good answer, right? But I would love to hear what you'd got to say here. But what would you say? I'll tell you my answer in a second. What would you say needs to change internally to make this work properly?
I think it's all about context, clarity of scope, and very, very like transparent goal setting, right? Um, Usually, I mean, it depends. Some companies tie outcomes to a job title. Some companies are too early stage to be able to do that, and so just need all hands on deck because they're still working at a high level, in terms of architecture and product design and direction. So I'm assuming that someone who doesn't have all the tools probably needs to make sure that they have a clear roadmap and that they have the ability to track work and create like a cadence of delivery, right? Like if you're super early stage in your product journey and you're not yet, sure how to push code, who contributes to the product, who shouldn't, how do we test features before we let them go live and things like this. You're probably not in the right place. But within 6 months of a startup being developed, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on how you're scaling your business and what kind of targets you're looking at. It's usually pretty easy to integrate those tools. I have had many partners, some of whom you onboarded for us, uh, that didn't have those tools when we started collaborating together. And actually, we hired uh, BAs and PMs or engineers that had PMP certifications and different kind of um, tools at their disposal to make sure that they can assist you on this journey to have a smoother kind of delivery, like transition to a smoother delivery, or take over fully like the delivery aspect and then leave you to the strategic kind of work. So I hope that's a good enough answer. Does that echo what you answered to the person?
Pretty much, pretty much. I guess I kind of came to it from a different angle. I was like, have you got a couple of hours a week, right? Because we're not a company where we're just like, yep, you've given us the JDs, we'll see you in 3 months kind of people. We have to stay in the loop to understand that these people are a cultural fit, they're a technical fit, and we need to stay in the loop if anything changes internally. So like if we meet up maybe 1 2 hours a week or maybe every couple of weeks, if you've got that time, then you won't need any extra internal resources in order to make that happen. As long as you know, there's ownership and there's some clarity, and you're open to the integration between the scalers and yourselves. And they were happy with the response. We've got a call next week actually, so let's see how that goes. But kind of moving on from that. Um, this is one question that I know sometimes you've been annoyed at me a couple times about, right? And rightly so. But the question is this: where do people get it wrong when it comes to job descriptions? Now it's very simple, but I'm sure there's a lot to it.
Uh, the biggest mistake and the most repeated one I see is people just kind of creating a wish list instead of clearly defining the outcomes that they expect from a role and explaining where the role fits into the organization very clearly. It doesn't have to be the case that you go into describing your organization and who's gonna, validate your stuff and so on. But defining a core outcome for a role rather than, a wish list of 10 things that are not interconnected, it's probably a great way to start. Uh, Other tips I would give someone to make like a not just a useful JD, but also like a strong process in terms of creating good outcomes from the beginning of the recruitment process is defining what success looks like in 90 or 120 days, whatever your probation cycles look like, right? Having a clear kind of roadmap of what success looks like for a job description and tying that success to a business outcome that contributes to your, product or business roadmap is probably a great way to go. Um, some other things I would add is, make sure that you have the right documentation, you have the right onboarding resources to to onboard someone well. If you have some systems that would only work after you explained it to me for 30 minutes in a corridor or something like this, that feature is probably going to fail unless you really explained it to me well. And you know, basically like things that depend on informal discussions and informal kind of scope is probably not ripe or not ready to be hired for, let alone offshored. Because whether the guy is in Manchester or Bangalore, if the scope and the requirement and the way to add value is not clear, uh, it becomes more challenging to be successful. We can find people that will help you solve those issues, um, and they come in the form of lead engineers or people who have experience managing a process or integrating into a team that doesn't have uh, certain tools and implementing them to facilitate those kind of outcomes. Is that a good answer?
Yep, I think that's the exact answer I was looking for actually. Um, yeah, for sure. Like corridor conversations, it's never going to work out in the long term, right? So having that process, standardizing that makes a lot of sense.
You
On to
know,
the go on.
sorry, if I could just add something, I would say like it's all about clarity, not proximity. I think people uh, wrong, maybe wrongly, maybe rightfully, believe that if my collaborators are sitting in the desk next to me, it removes most of the hurdles to uh, get work done, right? But you could hire 10 people and not have a clear roadmap and still not get where you need to go.
Hmm.
Having a clear roadmap, having a clear way of pushing code, having a clear system to check the quality, making sure that redundancies are in place and so on are kind of part of the system. So I would say ensure your system is robust, and then definitely like you'll be ready to, to scale. It's rarely a problem of the where the bar is set in terms of recruitment. That a team or an outcome doesn't happen. It's more because we didn't scope it well enough before we started running uh, on the market to hire, right?
Nice. No, thank you for that clarity. Definitely does beat proximity. I'm going to skip to the last question here, Deepak, because I think we're overrunning a little bit, if that's cool with you. But before we do that, I think we actually have a question. Maybe should we save that for the end? The question is, how is AI changing the teams that are built offshore? Do you want to take that now, Deepak, or do you want to come to that at the end?
Sure. I'm happy to answer this now, actually.
Great.
This is a great question, and I would answer this way. I don't think that AI is an opponent or something to be scared of. I think that the adoption of AI speaks for itself. In India, uh, all your, Anthropic, ChatGPT, and all the other brands are all having free models to push further adoption, and you see billboards for ChatGPT and Claude. Um, which means that we can't avoid it, right? So from my perspective, making sure that you hire with AI in mind is very is key, basically. From my point of view, we have been in an AI transformation since last year. All the leadership has, I mean, the entire company has like access to enterprise LLM models. We also uh, have a cadence where on a weekly and monthly basis, we look at what can be automated. And then on a quarterly basis, we decide and action the creation of agents. So, um, I think at a high level, AI enables decision makers to do more with less, to go further and really, uh, augment what they can get from 5 engineers, for example, rather than 50. In a world where the tools are more available, the value and the demand for experienced quality people like engineers that can rightfully and legitimately, augment their outputs using AI is gonna shrink. And pretty much all we have been doing for the last 11 years is setting up small, strong teams of architects, leaders, senior people with an average, tenure of, sorry, an average experience of around 8, 9, 10 years experience. And that's given us a super strong network, right? Out of the 300 plus people working on our payrolls, the average is all above 7, 8 years of experience. And the way those guys will be able to leverage AI versus uh, someone who's tasked with, introduce like integrating AI and doing something with it is gonna be incomparable. So I'm not so scared actually of the change. I would say that what the changes are simple. Rather than hiring 100 people, people like decision makers are focusing more on smaller, more nimble teams, hiring people that integrate better with your mindset, uh, people that align with your technical vision, with your product vision, and are kind of liberated to deliver using AI and innovate. I think the number of POCs, the number of innovative feature being developed, or even the cost cutting, the cost saving measures that people are taking by removing CRMs or some products and developing them with Claude instead for internal tools, for example, is really the future. And we are very much ready for the future because we've never been a proponent of hiring, you know, uh, 20 QAs and 50 people, including 20 juniors and stuff like that. For us, the high quality has always been the priority. High quality has always been the priority. And in this day and age, having like a great network, an ability to not just attract but retain for a long time senior profiles in a market that's
Yeah.
very, very, very competitive, as you can
You
imagine.
just took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, exactly.
It's yeah,
No, thank you for that. You
it's a
know,
good
you're absolutely right, Deepak. I mean, the top engineers are definitely using AI to do more. And I think I had a conversation yesterday where they were like, um, people aren't people aren't ask after like mid-level engineers anymore. Everyone's looking for like senior lead or architect type profiles. But then of course, like trying to attract them is a challenge, but then trying to retain them is a whole different challenge, right? As I have people that you like you've shared earlier around 9, 10 years staying with the company, there must be something that they're staying for. But just to kind of round it off to the closing question, I know we've overrun a bit, so kind of trying to round it off now. Um, Firstly, thank you for the question. I can't see who that is, but thank you. So the closing question here, Deepak, and you can hopefully enjoy the swimming pool in the next 10, 15 minutes. From your experience, what is the most crucial factor in the success of an offshoring strategy?
I think strategy depends on what you need to do. The real challenge from from my perspective is are you doing are you giving me everything so that I can help you do the best job, right? The real challenge I would say is giving us real trust uh so that we are really well aligned. Like the more I understand how you communicate with your candidates at home that you recruit, the more I understand what uh, what's behind the decisions that market your product, what's behind the image that you put out in your marketing to hire people, whatever it might be that gives your brand or your product or your company an identity and a certain significance. Those are the things that we need to replicate while being cognizant of the cultural differences and the local sensitivities. So it all comes back to people and culture, right? Like you help us align the culture of the team that you want us to set up. You give us the time to make sure that you play ball with us in terms
Hmm.
of all the processes that you need to follow to make sure that we can hit our targets, and and your team will be a success. There's no reason it won't be.
Okay, cool. No, thank you for rounding that off. Just to kind of finalize, or kind of round off this amazing webinar. Thank you for your time, Deepak. Do we have any other live Q&A questions from the team that's joined? I think we have a Q&A button from my understanding. It's our first one, so if there are any hiccups, just treat it as a part of the experience. Yes, if we have a Q&A button, please feel free to press that button and ask us a few questions. We'll wait for a few minutes and we'll play it by ear. I mean, look, Deepak, whilst we're waiting, I've actually got a question for you. Uh,
Yeah.
so previously we've had partnerships, right, where we've scaled from like 6 to 500 engineers. So would you say like we're finally at the point where throwing more engineers at the problem is probably done for now, done for good?
I don't think it's as simple as that, yeah. Uh, I think when it comes to product development in IT, like scale isn't always the answer. Sometimes having really clear goals around architecture and vision uh, helps you save costs where you can. Some products are so big that you actually need whole teams of product development to kind of respond to the need of every different sides of the product and all the different offerings that it might need, right? um, but if I had to answer this question in one word, I would say, yeah. I don't think the times of hiring 100 people or 150 people over the next 2 years uh, is really like what matters anymore for CTOs, CIOs, people making decisions in terms of do we offshore or not. I think what matters the most nowadays is really like the availability of talent, the attractivity of your brand, the stability that you're able to provide uh, when it comes to like giving stable technical work and keeping engineers on a growth path where they can not only work, have a salary, and have a job, but also thrive, like learn, grow, and develop skills that they didn't previously have, right? So I think. I think you can do more with less, and definitely like senior people today we're really like in a candidates market when it comes to hiring seniors and so on.
Hmm.
But if you're a junior going into IT today, it's a super exciting time, right? Because the adoption of tools, the future of architecture, backend technologies, how different products interact with each other. Everything is evolving so fast. So yeah, I think we are falling, like starting to go far away from just throwing a bunch of heads at a problem and seeing what if it works, and more towards like less people that use tools to give high quality outcomes, and clearly find, avenues for growth, avenues for further development.
Excellent. I've got one more actually from me before I think we've got one on the Q&A, so we can probably end on that Q&A. So just one more before that. Excellent. I think we had one question, but you've already answered that question, Deepak, in your explanation just now. So, like, what's the reason to go offshore in Bangalore as opposed to Eastern Europe? And
I
like,
can't see the questions of the panel. Sorry, I didn't even
that's
think of
okay.
the.
I mean, look, you naturally fell into that place, and that's great. I think that's us done for today. I just want to check if we've got any more questions. If you do have any, please feel free to just drop them in the chat. However, if you feel like you'd like to have a bit more of a one-to-one conversation about offshoring, and anything related around that topic, or if you're just looking to have a chat to explore a few things loosely, we're always more than happy to have a one-to-one conversation offline. Great. Well, look, Deepak, it sounds like you will be able to jump out, get into your swimming trunks, and go for a dive.
I still have another call, but hopefully before I get home, I'll go for a quick swim, I think.
Incredible. Well, look, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. I'll catch you tomorrow. And to everyone else that's joined us, thank you for your time. Thanks for joining in. This is the first of many, and hopefully, in the next month or so, we'll be doing another webinar, and we'll keep you guys in the loop. So, thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. Any last words, Deepak?
Thanks for attending, and feel free to reach out if you have further questions. OJ, the whole advisory team, and even myself are more than happy to guide you on your journey to offshore. And yeah, just reach out if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer them.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time. Take care.
Bye,
Bye bye.
guys.
Bye bye.